Mark Detterman, Electrical.
Okay, I'm on there again. For electrical, for some metering, I found a meter that was bad, and we got some ancient meters in town. And this is information for the city, because I feel that's my job, to let you guys know what's going on. So I contacted Larry Chapman from Chapman Metering, and I'd like to have him talk to the council about metering.
Before you bring Larry up, would you please go through the meter in question that you and I have been talking about the low, where it was at?
Okay, this one particular meter, you know, I'm not going to name the person's name because I don't think that's professional in business. This one person had us check a meter because they thought it was too high, and so I took the Lakeview and they got a meter testing thing over there, and it was 62%, and that means it's 38% slow. So we'll say if you're using 4,000 kilowatts and it's 38% slow, that's approximately 700 and some kilowatts that we potentially lost. And you know, we don't have no idea how long that's been going on. And then when it was light load, the meter stopped. So we have no idea what that is. And I just feel that we could, how can I say that, better use our revenue so we don't lose revenue on metering and stuff for electricity.
Your rough, low estimate, you said, what we would have lost in revenue per year was?
$941.
It's almost $1,000 that we lost in revenue because the meter wasn't working correctly.
And this person thought their bill was too high originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have kept them off. But anyway.
But see, that's why Mark doesn't know how long the meter's been running slow like that. So that's why they're considering that maybe the meter was running high at one point in time. Maybe it did kick in or something.
So I feel it's my job to report to the council when I find stuff like that.
I understand that, Mark. You said you went over to Lakeview and they have a meter tester. What is that?
It's about a $30,000 piece of equipment. And you know, we can't go over there and burden them with testing it all the time because they're...
No, I know that. I didn't know that part of it.
Oh.
That's not anywhere in any of this information.
Yeah.
With that said and done, Larry, I haven't met you yet, but
Well, I'm me.
you're supposed to be a professional of all meters that the way I was described to.
Well, we've been at it since 1960, so we should know by now.
Just a few years under your belt.
Yeah. The main thing is, you're not the only place in the world that this is going on. It's everywhere in the world. A lot of the smaller municipal utilities, probably 20 years ago, we were coming around through here and probably tested like 10% of your meters each year. Well, along the way, that kind of got dropped off because it was hard to justify spending money to maintain things if everything was looking good. The meters that Mark's alluding to, most of those are the older Westinghouse D3, D4, and D5 series meters. Those meters had a bad suspension. They did make good on them. They sent out new parts for them. They wouldn't replace the meters, but that's been 15 years ago. But those meters all are going to do that if they aren't already doing that. So however many of those you've got probably will end up needing to be replaced. And Mark, you got a semi-count so far.
Yeah, when I had the guys read the meters, I had them write down the brand name and the type.
Mm-hmm.
And we just read them the 20th, and I haven't had time to go through our 300 some meters.
Anyway, what we're proposing to do is to come up, we have test equipment that's built into our vans. We do this stuff in the field. We can test the meters on site, verify their accuracy, calibrate the ones that are capable of being calibrated, and bring them back to 100%. The ones that we run into, like the one Mark found, we can then come up with a serial number range and say, okay, anything from 4 million whatever to 4,800,000 or whatever it might be, we're going to replace those and find you a cheap way to replace them. I know Mark said you guys have been buying $130 meters to do a $20 meters job, so there's a way to save a lot of money there. But we'd like to come up and run a test on about 20% of your single-phase meters. And then we need to look hard at what all your polyphase services are looking like and consider looking at those. But get through some single-phase and figure out a way to make this thing pay its way back. And I'm convinced 100% that what we're proposing to spend for you on a test program will pay itself back in less than a year. To the point that I would say if it don't, I wouldn't even send you a bill, I wouldn't have the nerve. But that's what we're wanting to do, is to try to come up and help you find what you have, what you need to look for, and a smart way to go about doing something to get rid of what's out there that's costing you guys money, and do it as smoothly as you can without making the whole town hot. Because if you find a lot of meters that are running really slow and everybody's bill goes up at once, that's going to be a lot of fun.
They're used to that around here.
But I can almost guarantee you the old D3 and D4 series Westinghouse, all of them are going to be like the one you found. Because that suspension went bad 15, 20 years ago, and we're starting to go bad. And so I bet most of them are shot by now.
So that's lost revenue on our cost.
Oh yeah, you guys are losing money. I would venture that your line loss is 10% or more today. And so you're going to recover at least 2% of that easy with just this test plan. And then after that, it's going to improve beyond that point.
Yeah, Bob.
I'm Bob Mead from PowerPool, the power supplier. I've been doing the metering for just about as long as you have, and been working at Rocky Mountain Meter School, teaching out there for about 25 years. There's an average of the D4s, D3s, D4s going bad, and they're between 5 and 7 to 12% off. The magnetic suspension, those should be replaced. A decent replacement meter will cost, small quantity, $25 to $30 a piece. Testing will cost X number of dollars.
Yeah, 15 to 17.
Can you get us something, Larry, that hard copy that tells the council it's going to cost you X amount of dollars to check?
I sent up a quote for you. Did you
Is it in here?
guys?
You should have that, Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For us to run through and get you a good sample and figure out
Didn't
what
see it, sorry.
There's actually another vendor out there, it's called Austin International, that has good reconditioned solid state meters in the $15 range. So I mean, you can save a lot of money by going some route that direction to replace these old D4, D5 stuff that's going bad. But yeah.
I would say, let's not stopgap gauge or anything. Let's go ahead and buy electronic meters with the, looking forward to the future of putting in automatic meter reading, maybe a radio read.
Can you guarantee me we can retrofit the electronic meters they buy?
The Itrons, you definitely can.
I wouldn't put money on that 5 years down the road.
I'd say almost 80% of the meter industry right now is going to Itron and the radio read. There are new technologies coming out. There is cell phone coming out. There's a lot of stuff. There's power line carrier. There's turtle systems. There's a bunch of stuff out there.
Haven't heard of, how much do those cost?
An Itron meter will cost you the same amount, about $30, $25 to $30, with the capability of being upgraded to AMR, which means the guys wouldn't have to read the meters. They go out and radio read them. There would be no mistakes in the bookwork. There would be no transfers of money of dyslexic people like me writing the wrong numbers down when they read them. It's a good way to go, but testing is definitely, you're losing money out there.
Yeah, and the thing I'm driving at is that the AMR systems today are going to be a lot different 10 years from now.
The life of the new meter, electronic meter,
10 years maybe.
mean time between failure is between 7 and 12. Yep, 10 right on the button. The old
Your
mechanical meter,
meters are 50 years old.
yep.
And they're still running.
So when the digitals fail, do they just automatically quit?
Yeah.
No.
Or
Sometimes they'll speed up, sometimes they'll slow down, but they won't last very long in a bad condition. Roughly, if they last 3 months before they die after something happens to them, that's it. They're not gonna go any longer than that. They'll just quit. And there'll be no doubt about it, they quit working. The AMR system, the reason I like going the AMR route when you go solid state is if anything starts happening to that meter, since you're getting an automatic reading you can actually get them every day if you really want them, you're gonna know when it's starting to go bad. If you don't go AMR system, you don't know until it dies. But again, the lifespan between the time it begins to fail and it totally fails is very short, which is what makes the solid state meter a lot more attractive as a replacement than a new one.
And something else you gotta remember, you're losing between 2 and 4% right now, line loss right on the meters. You fix the meter, you're gonna gain 2 to 4%. So it'll definitely pay for itself to test or replace the meter, either way you go.
Right.
What's the upgrade cost then for the automated reader?
If you go to the radio read today, the price is around $40-50 for a retrofit max on an Itron.
The Itron meter with the module, their module in it's around $45 to $70, depending on what you want.
Depending on how many you buy.
But then you gotta be able to get it into the correct billing system, and there's a price for that software.
Yeah.
And by the way, you have the right billing system.
So that, the 45 to 70 is on top of the 25, 30.
No, the 45, well, you'd have to be buying probably 2,000 meters to get that $45
All right, let's
price.
say the 70, is that the 70 with
70
the reader?
would be
or
with
is
the
it-
meter and the
The wire
AMR
on
reading equipment.
And then the price for the Itron software and billing software,
I don't know,
7,000
yeah.
top line.
But we've got the capability of that, Bob?
Oh, yeah. Your billing, you just have to have our billing software, so I know it. So you do have that capability. It is compatible with the Itron and Census and so on and so forth, but I would recommend the Itron.
Now, I'm gonna agree with you 100% right there, you're saying the right thing.
For once.
The census meter scares me to death.
Yeah.
But,
I don't like that.
you know, the little Itron meters are doing a really good job for them. But again,
But technology is going to change in 5 years. 5 years, that meter might not be the thing to have.
right, that's why.
But it's going to go bad in 7.
Walk,
Why
don't
worry
run.
about it?
You know, just kind of slide into that thing as good as
So
you
who's
can.
pushing this AMR system?
Pardon?
Who's pushing the AMR? Who says we're gonna have to have that?
You don't
The
have
state's
to have
gonna
it.
someday tell us we have to do that if we keep the same president we have.
Can we go through
He's
means
pushing this thing
and,
hard.
if they walk by and get a better rate that way?
You can buy palletized meters for around $70.
Well, I mean, if means is buying for other.
We're not going to bulk purchase. We can't tell you what to buy.
I know that we could.
We would get in trouble trying to dictate to you.
I didn't know if that could be,
Yeah. We,
I can buy them from you, but you can lead us to the right people, recommend who to.
Exactly.
we can get you the people to get you some information on how they like their systems, and you can make up your mind very easily off that.
Well, we also go out and read natural gas and water. Are they also compatible with the same system?
I know the water is compatible, the gas should be.
Gas, you can put a deal behind the reader. I've checked into that
Like that
already.
little turtle thing or whatever they call it.
But it'll still read the Itron handheld?
Yeah.
It's still got the ERT module on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you can actually go one step further and go AMI, automatic meter interface, or automatic intelligent meter. And that's the meter that you're buying now.
$130 a pop.
It'll tell you everything you need to know, plus some that you never wanted to know. But you gotta be able to use the information you get. So,
Large consumers, that kind of information is valuable, but to the individual household, that's overkill. You know, if you guys go into AMR system in town with what, 400 or 500 meters max, you know, it's kind of hard to justify the cost of going to a full AMI system, and it's really hard to do here.
not now, not now.
And that's all, it's changing every day, and that's why I hate to push people in to spend a lot of money on that stuff.
So we could buy 4 meters versus buying the one Cadillac.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
real easy.
you'll save enough money on meter reads, rereads, people writing information down wrong, that it'll probably help pay for the system quite a bit.
Yeah. Rex Van Wert, which is Van Wert Enterprises out of,
These guys are still working anyway.
No, but
Yeah, we're not gonna save any money on labor, because these guys are still working anyway.
yeah.
they can do
They're
something
doing
more
something.
productive.
They're doing something, we're just gonna take some stuff away from them, so they got more time
Yeah.
to do something else, or,
Yeah, it's more productive.
you know.
The main thing that an AMR system will give you is a very accurate line on what your line losses truly are. Because, you know, you guys, how long does it take you to read meters? 2 days?
1 day. 3 guys, 1 day.
3 guys, 1 day. So, I mean, and again,
24 hours with overtime and overhead is
See
quite
what
a
you
bit of
tell
money.
me, you know, you're trying to tell me that the AMR system's gonna happen, but if Obama isn't president, that
well,
won't.
someday they're gonna push you into it.
I mean,
There's no
to me,
reason
that's-
for you to go until you
That's a
have
wish of mine.
But Obama died.
Oh, you mean the
No,
new,
not die, it's just is not president after
it
2012.
just goes away.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, but.
And we've already remedied that situation in our state, you know, so, you know, I'm just saying.
No, that's something
And
that
we
you guys
moved into
don't
this
have.
phase of this, and then all of a sudden, oh, no, you don't have to do that anymore. You know, that, I don't like to do the stuff on a whim like that.
I'm not an advocate of replacing every meter you've got with solid state in any way, shape, or form, because I'm not convinced that the solid state meters are really gonna make it to the whole 10 years yet. I'm disappointed in what we're seeing in our shop, and stuff that's coming through on solid state is not running as good as they told us it would, and that bothers me. It should be running a lot better than it is.
Well, that's the
Not any
mentality
one
of our,
brand.
that's the mentality of our home electronic system is, if it doesn't work 5 years later, you just throw it away. I don't even remember when I bought that, but it was only 5 years ago. You throw it away and buy a new one, you don't ever get anything fixed anymore.
Right.
How long have they been out, solid state meters?
Single-phase solid-state meters, the kind we're talking about, they're not much more than 10 years old now. They've been out roughly, some of them been out around 12 years. I think the
Were they
Itron
made?
was the first one in about
88, 89,
pardon,
1988, 89.
88 or 89. somewhere
Where are
there.
they made?
Pardon?
Where are they made?
The Itrons are made in what town is that? It's in the United States. They're the only ones made in the United States.
That's the only United States made meter. Everything else is made either in Mexico or here.
Yeah. So that is true.
Quality control on those are pretty good, or better.
The Landis Gear Focus meter is a good meter. That meter is made in Mexico, but it's been a pretty solid little meter. And it'll sell a little higher than the Centron will. The Itron Centron is the
I
best
just-
one on the market.
I just can't trust Focus. It only weighs a half pound.
Yeah,
It
that's all with
doesn't-
Itron.
Doesn't have a gear in it, and I can't see it go around. I just don't like it.
But again, you've got some meters out there that are still good enough to leave out there. So the thing to do is find out if there's a good quantity of them and what meter brand and type they are. And then,
So we test them at half the price of a meter.
pardon,
We test them at half the price of a meter?
pretty close. No, closer to 2/3 is our rate
That
for
doesn't-
doing it on site. When we do the test on site, put the meter back where it came from.
And
it's
then you gotta
calibrated
go
to
back and
100%.
replace it, so then you got the full price of the meter invested in before you buy the meter.
No, we're not gonna come back and replace the one we test. If we find one that isn't worth calibrating, we're gonna advise you to replace it, period. We're not gonna charge you to test it if we can't make it good. Yeah, well, that was,
You were just saying we're gonna
that's
test
what we're
20%
gonna charge you.
meters.
If you read the fine print on what we do for that price, the meter's calibrated back to plus or minus 0.2%. And if we can't do that, we're not gonna put that meter back in service.
And you won't charge for it either.
We're not gonna charge you for doing it. If we can't make it work for you, we're not gonna charge you for putting the damn thing back when it's no good. And that's not our job. Our job is to make things work for you.
It looks to me like we should do it on this one specific type more so than any others, right?
Yeah, but how do you know what good ones you have? If we do a statistic sample, I'm only talking about doing 50 or 60 meters here to start with. go out and go through 20 of each various type that you have, or 10, or whatever. And whatever percentage of that group fails, if 2% of a group fail, then the rest of them are good enough, they're worth calibrating and leaving in stock for a while, if you don't want to spend a bunch of money on new meters. The ones, the D3s and 4s, they're gonna crash, and you're gonna wanna throw them away. So, I mean, I really would
So we
advise,
shouldn't even test those, we should just replace them.
other than wanting to know how bad they were when you took them out, because that way when the phone
That's
call
water.
comes, you can answer the
That's
question.
electricity over the dam.
Yeah, but the customer's gonna be calling in, why the hell did my bill go up? And it'll be that call.
Because your meter was
Again,
running.
I say, we've been doing that for a year.
Sure came here and tested your meter, it's his fault, call him. Oh, you mentioned the insurance problems too, by the way. Our insurance is $1 million policy with a $5 million umbrella on it. And we will give you a hold harmless and sign you in as, named insured if we're in town doing any work. So if we burn the elevator down or whatever, our people will pay the bill. It's a good way to find out where you're at.
Yeah, well,
I've driven around today a little bit, and the last time I was here, I drove around too. You have a lot of commercial meters that are Form 5S, 2CT, 2PT arrangement. I would almost guarantee you that those are fairly inaccurate to the tune of 5 to 12%.
Coming off of 4-wire wire Delta Bank instead of 3-wire.
Almost all Delta, which is worse yet.
So you got a lot of single-phase meters with a 3-phase meter right beside them?
Several, not too many.
That'd be the
There's
12S
gonna
next
be
to
some
it.
big revenue loss
There's some
there.
12S's and some 14, 17S's.
We need to get rid of the 12S, the DS4s, DS3s, so on and so forth. The Form 5S, we need to look at upgrading or replacing and put CTs in, so on and so forth. There's a whole program that needs to be looked at.
And that's all you need to do, is to figure out where you need to go with it, put a good recommendation together, and then sit down and figure out what it's gonna cost.
Yep.
But it's, you don't wanna, I hate to see people throw really good money after bad money, so that's why I'd like to see you kind of wade in and see where your problems are first, determine how to fix them, and then.
You're saying taking a sampling here, sampling there, and here to see where,
well, it's probably gonna want some numbers from you, Mark, on what kind of brands, because you said you had the guys write it down.
yeah, it's all written down, but I
So
haven't got.
if you go with him and you tell Larry, well, I got 35 of this brand, I got 45 of this brand, he will probably pick out the ones he wants to check, Larry.
Right.
Pick a
How many
few.
meters do you have in your system? 350?
350 or something.
300? 300 times 30 bucks is what?
9,000.
For $9,000, you can upgrade your system and have 2% more revenue coming in. 2 to
Well, they'll
4%.
probably have more than that.
2 to 5% more revenue. 5% of your revenue is how much, Mr.?
This looks like you're gonna test 115 meters.
That's just throwing numbers. I didn't know for sure how many meters you had, so I just picked out how many meters you had and threw 20% at that for the single phase side, and threw everything as far as 3-phase. I don't know for sure how many of each you have anyway.
Okay.
But your 3-phase stuff, we should look at every single one of them.
Absolutely.
And determine exactly how to take care of that and upgrade it. The single-phase meters, just look at enough of them to know whether it's better to change them out than it is to test them. If there's enough meters out there that are calibratable and are in good shape and able to be used some more, I'd use them personally. Because I don't see any reason in buying new solid-state meters until you have to, or until you want to. If you give this thing a chance to get yourself oriented, then your return on this investment is going to come fast enough to pay the whole ride for getting everything else done you might need to do. Because you're going to know where you're going, rather than stumbling in blind,
Well, this is an estimate of $3,800.
roughly, yeah.
That seems like an awful cheap price to pay for some good statistics on our meters.
Well, we hope it is. I mean, that's what we try to do. And that's a high estimate as far as your count. I mean, I don't think it'll be that much money. to be honest.
That's probably going to test the 25% of the readers. You don't know exactly how many we have? Okay.
He's gonna know by the time you're.
I'm gonna know by the time,
All right, so that's about a third.
And we don't care if you adjust that to 2 meters or 5 meters, or you wanna do the whole town, we don't care. I mean, we're not gonna, we'll do it for the price that we quoted, per meter,
Per meter.
yeah. Not,
Well, if there's 350 times 20%, that's 70 meters.
But if you're,
yeah, and I think I threw 60 in my picture
Yeah.
there, on single phase.
yeah, there's 16.
that's single phase, he's got a total of 115 meters.
Yeah, I see that.
Three phase
I
and
see
blah,
that.
blah, blah, and those ones I don't even understand.
Oh, we got all kinds of stuff. We could have really made that, there's a list about 14 pages long of different services.
You gonna do that big meter up there in the substation too? Is that this the one here?
That might be the one that's $115 a pop, yeah, that's probably the one.
No, I just,
But that, like that service there, what we're doing there is actually verifying ratio on CTs, burden testing the CTs, tracing all the wiring down, testing the meter, and that truly would be like your substation type of service. Or if you had a factory in town, that service would probably be one that would anticipate wanting to do that kind of test on. Normally, the $72 test is typical of anything that's got CTs and or VTs.
VTCT.
Yeah, you've got like 277 480Y service. Those be on that $72.
What kind of test equipment do you have?
We go.
We don't.
And some of them you take 620s. Pretty much the same thing they all got. There's just not too many guys out there doing this stuff on
Not
site.
anymore.
When we started out, it was a Duncan standard, a phantom load, and a thumb switch, and lead test
I'm
wires.
pretty good with thumb switch, I can make it say
Is
whatever.
there a contract then, Larry, that you would send us?
We can use one if you guys want one. It's not something we require. We do have a standard contract that came probably out of an REC, RUS magazine or something. All it does is pins us down to where if we screw up, it's our fault and we gotta fix it. And that's standard for us, that's what we expect.
you do that anyway, right?
Pardon?
You do that anyway.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Larry, is there a PUC commission in Iowa that dictates?
There is an Iowa Public Services Commission, yes.
Do they dictate how many meters have to be tested a year?
They used to dictate that you had to test at least 10% of your system a year. About 4 years ago, they passed a new rule that whatever you put in your tariff
Is what,
is acceptable, as long as they accept your tariff. Well, if nobody put it in there, legally, it's still 10% per year.
because I checked with the League of Iowa today,
Yeah.
and they couldn't find anything that said
There
we
are
should.
nothing out there right now.
I can't see anything out. It's a good idea to test, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good idea to test.
But,
But I
we'd just
can't
like to see if
law.
we can't help you get over your hump here, because
Yeah.
you probably got more trouble than you realize.
I'd like to interrupt you for a moment, and we can go discussion later, but I think I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead with this proposal so that we can test our system just to see how bad our metering is. That's pretty much what you're gonna tell us, is how bad it really was.
Yeah,
And
We'll
which-
try to give you
What brand
really
worked
good-
and what brand didn't work.
right. It's what they call a swag.
Right. I know swag real well.
Okay.
All right.
Second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Chapman metering proposal at, what's in front of us here, is that how you want to put that?
I want to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Do we get an analysis then back of which meters you checked and what type they were and?
And the percentage.
You'll get more paperwork than you're gonna know what to do with.
Okay.
As well as, I mean, we'll put it on basically we will print each individual record into a PDF. for every single meter we tested. And then I'll do like more or less a spreadsheet, it's like an Excel spreadsheet. That'll give you the averages of each meter type and what they ran and how they worked out, what their average line load was, what their average flow load was, the whole works for each basic type that we run
Now,
across.
you won't be testing any of those Westinghouse, we'll just automatically replace them, won't we?
I would test at least 10 of them, just to get yourself a feel.
Of what you're actually losing.
Yeah.
And
But-
then just throw another,
You don't really have to test any more of them, because I pretty much know what they're gonna be doing as long as they've been setting.
If this passes, Larry,
Market values on the chart.
how soon would you start this project?
Whatever you want us, we'll get somebody here. I can't guarantee anybody next week, because we got a school going on down in Ankeny next week, and about 4 of our guys that I probably picked one out of is gonna be at that school. Because we try to keep them learning as we go. You should come down to that, you'd have fun. We'll
We
put
moved
you
and
back-
seconded that we approve the Chapman metering proposal for testing of the meters throughout the city of Wall Lake. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion's passed. Larry, I'd like you to get with Mark
Sure.
and see what would be a good time. I don't know if you need Rick's help on that.
What do you guys wanna do?
We can start figuring out, I can start taking the meter books and starting writing down all the brands, the types and everything.
Okay.
And get a list, how many Westinghouse have, San Guimo, LNG, all of them like that. And the types.
These animals will be good because my dad designed them.
Oh, okay.
move on.
They're saying, well,